is what we're going to talk about in this episode of Ask Dr. Jody. I am live every Monday at 8 p.m., and you could be on the show. You could sign up to be a guest, and that means that I could coach you live right on the show. You've seen some of my episodes perhaps on my YouTube channel, or you've heard them on my podcast where I coach someone live, and you could be anonymous. It could just be your voice on here. You could turn off your camera and we could talk about whatever's going on in your life. If you are on YouTube, you can ask me a question on YouTube. I think that I could get it. I don't have a producer on live with me. I'm on here by myself now. So I am going to try, but it should come through. So you could ask me a question. But in the meantime, I'm just going to talk about some of the questions I've already gotten on YouTube in the last couple months. So many questions, especially about anxiety, because we are all feeling anxiety, and anxiety is the worst. Okay. So the worst thing about anxiety is the anxiety because it feels so awful. It feels so awful. When I was prepping for this video and I was thinking about the worst thing about the th like the worst thing about anxiety, I kept wanting to make a list. So this is more like the worst things about anxiety, right? Plural. The worst things about anxiety instead of the worst thing about anxiety. Because anxiety itself keeps you trapped. Anxiety wants you to suffer, and you do. When you have anxiety, you suffer. So, probably the worst thing about anxiety is the feelings that you feel. And it's a shame. It's such a shame because the feelings that you feel when you have anxiety perpetuates the anxiety. I know that sounds kind of obvious, but if you watch my other videos about the biology of anxiety or untriggering your amygdala, those episodes will really explain the biology of what's going on because you have to demystify it. You have to understand anxiety so that it doesn't have the mystery because when anxiety has a mystery, you feel more powerless, right? When anxiety is like a mystery, it's like, why do I have it? Where did it come from? Why do I have it right now? And those questions make us feel more out of control, which perpetuates the anxiety. They upset us. They upset us because we feel powerless. We don't know something. It feels out of control to us. There's no order. It's chaotic. And so we want to get order. So we're trying to figure out why we have anxiety. But that is a total distraction for helping us get better. Not only that it a distraction, but it is also perpetuated anxiety because this is probably the top. The top of the worst things about anxiety is this. It needs you to be bothered and it is so bothersome, right? Anxiety needs you to be bothered. I used to say that anxiety needs you to be scared because it needs you to be afraid to perpetuate the amygdala to keep pumping those hormones out, with that adrenaline and norepinephrine. And it needs you to be upset so it knows it's got to protect you. It needs you to feel like something's out of control. Then it will keep pumping those hormones out. I used to say it needs you to be scared, but really it needs you to be bothered because you could be frustrated. You could be mad at it. You could be frustrated with yourself. You could be embarrassed. You could be mad you're ruining everybody's time. There's so many upsetnesses that anxiety brings with it. And all of those things create more adrenaline, create your tell your brain to release more adrenaline because this is the thing. If you're frustrated, if you're confused, if things are weird, if you feel uncomfortable, if you are frustrated or mad or angry, guess what? All adrenaline. All of those things are adrenaline. And so if you feel any of those things, sometimes you don't have anxiety when you're feeling anger because it's kind of going out in the anger, right? We feel empowered by the anger in some way. So we don't feel that powerlessness and that confusion that anxiety brings. So, same hormone, different meaning. Also, thrill is adrenaline too, right? If you go fast, or some people like to do extreme sports because they love that feeling of adrenaline. Same people might have anxiety in different contexts, same adrenaline, but they think about it differently because one, they know why and they're doing it on purpose and it feels great. And the other one, they don't know why and they feel out of control and they feel like something's wrong. And then they get really worried because they can't figure out what's wrong because it's anxiety. It's just hormones when they're totally safe. Right. So the worst thing about anxiety, the worst thing is that it needs you to be bothered and it is so bothersome. It needs you to be bothered, and it is so bothersome. Think about that. Think about what then you could do to get rid of anxiety. Yeah, you're working with me here. Don't be bothered. Now, that's really hard. Like I said, it's really hard because anxiety is so bothersome that it's hard not to be bothered by it because it bothers the heck out of you. It is so upsetting and it feels so awful. But if we think about it differently, we take the mystery out and we say, oh, I know why my adrenaline went off. This makes sense. I feel it in my body. Okay. Well, let me just do this while my adrenaline's going down. That would You would have a completely different experience of anxiety if you thought that way when you felt your adrenaline symptoms. And when I say adrenaline symptoms, I mean that we call that anxiety. We call all of those feelings, all of those symptoms of the adrenaline, more adrenaline in our blood. You could have a little adrenaline in your blood, or you could have a lot of adrenaline in your blood stream. And that means you're like a little bit anxious or like a lot in DEF CON 5, like panic mode. There's all kinds of ways in between. And people call all of those things different things. To them, they have different words for those. Sometimes it's nervousness. That's like the basic. That's not too bad. Maybe your stomach's a little bit upset. And then when they're like crying and can't breathe, that's a all huge panic attack, right? And anything in between. And when you have adrenaline, yes, your heart rate goes up, your breathing goes up because it's trying to get oxygen to the large muscles. You are get really focused. Your brain starts trying to solve problems. If there is no problems, it's going over and over and over the non-problem, trying to figure it out. And like the what if and but maybe why am I thinking this? I must be thinking this for some reason. Kind of making up a problem that it has to solve because it's trying to solve a problem to keep you safe. It's like, I don't find a problem. I better find one quick to keep Jody safe. That's what my brain would do. And that's what your brain would do. Put your name in there, obviously. Okay. So here we go. Here we go. What other worse things about anxiety are there? Well, it's a big fat liar. Anxiety is a big fat liar. It needs to get your attention. And so to get your attention, it uses lies. And mostly lies about something that you care about, or it wouldn't work. It wouldn't grab your attention if it was lying about something you didn't care about. Um, if it was like that leaf is going to come and slap you in the face, like you don't care about that, so it's not going to work. That wouldn't be something that you would perseverate about or get hooked on or think about or worry about. But if it was like someone you love is going to have cancer, that is upsetting. That's something that you would worry about, that you would care about. And so anxiety could get in there about that. So it lies to get your attention. And it sounds a little bit like it could be true someday. It could happen. And so we logically think like, well, no, it's not the truth now, but it's a possibility. And because it's a possibility, we think that justifies being anxious about it, but it's still live anxiety because it's not right now, right? That's not going on right now. You have a fear about something that might be happening in the future, but there's a million different different scenarios that could possibly happen in your future, and you're not thinking about all of them. A lot of them are very scary, but you're thinking about that one. And that's how you know anxiety's lying. Because if it told you everything and it couldn't, I mean, you just don't have enough time in a day for anxiety to make you afraid of anything that could happen in your future, anything at all. and you would be upset about it, there's too many things. You can't. And so usually it just works with one and it works. And so it doesn't have to worry about it and doesn't have to add to it and just keeps going over and over and over and over and over. It lies to get your attention, even about something that's a possibility. It's a lie because it's not happening now. You're trying to solve what you do if that happened or how to prevent it, but it's not a problem. You see how you're trying to solve a non solvable problem? And because you can't check it and see if it worked or not, you're going to keep going over it and over and over it. It's not solved yet. Even if you come up with a plan, then you have to make another plan, then you to look at the plan again because it's not solvable because it's not there to check it and see if it works. You know what I mean? So that's what happens to us. It's not, when I say you make up problems, I'm not saying, "Oh, you're making this up." Our brain does that, and they're problems that we care about, and so they hook us. That's what our minds do. So it's not like you did it because there's something wrong with you or you're weak or you're negative or no, this is what our minds do. We evolved to solve problems to keep ourselves safe. So when your adrenaline goes off, when your nervous system goes off, your sympathetic nervous system goes off and your adrenaline floods your body's like, "Okay, are we in danger?" And your mind, your prefrontal cortex is like, "I don't see any danger, but I got to figure out where it is cuz I feel it." So it's going to find it. It just finds it. It's not you or you're weak. It could happen to anybody. It's not only weak people or some people are wired this way. They have anxiety. We all have a sympathetic nervous system, but it's the meaning that we make. So it really depends on the rest of our context of our life in that moment and in our history, whether that sympathetic nervous system trigger, which we all have, if that turns into anxiety, not or not. And when say anxiety, anxiety is the leftover adrenaline symptoms when you're not in danger. So I define anxiety as the leftover adrenaline symptoms, like the feelings of adrenaline and what it does to your body when you're not in danger, including that negative rumination about some problem. I define anxiety that way because I want it to be totalized as something that you do not need. Because we get confused. We think that, oh, well, it helps me sometimes. It's protecting me. It's making me vigilant. So if something bad happened, I would be prepared. No, anxiety does not protect you. Not the way I'm defining it. It does not protect you. Common sense makes you wear a helmet, wear a seatbelt. That's not anxiety. That's common sense. Knowing, that's protecting yourself. Those are skills. That's not anxiety. Anxiety is not a skill. Anxiety is the leftover fear response symptoms, like the leftover adrenaline symptoms on your body, the physical ones and the emotional ones and the mental ones when you're not in danger. You could definitely get rid of it. It's not helping you. This is one of the biggest lies of anxiety is that I'm protecting you. Why would you get rid of something that's protecting you? We're not going to get rid of our sympathetic nervous system because if we were in danger, we need that stuff. We need to be superhuman and pull a car off somebody. It's really kind of an amazing system that we have that could do that. So, but we want to be able to stop it when we don't need it, which is like 98% of the time our nervous system goes off. For some of us who experience a lot of anxiety, it's more often, but 98% of the time you don't need it. You don't need that fear. Yeah, I have a friend who used to tell me that 98% of the time, so I was just thinking about her. Okay, so what else is one of the worst things about anxiety? It's consuming. It consumes you, right? So it's taking you away from your goals and the things that you want for your life. It takes you away because it consumes you. It takes all of your attention with those lies that it tells. And we're so busy asking ourselves, is this real? Is this something I have to worry about? What if though? What if it could, right? It's so consuming. It's like a beacon for our attention. And so there's nothing wrong with you because you pay attention to anxiety. You're like, everyone's fine but me. I'm the only one. First of all, no. So many people are experiencing this and are really overwhelmed and upset by it. But this is the difference. When I remember when I was really I've written some books about anxiety and I write about my own story. And you could actually look up my story, my anxiety story on my YouTube channel, and you could find it. But I tell my story in both my books here. You Want Anxiety Zero, and then Anxiety, I'm So Done with You. These books this is for adults. I wrote it first, and then this is for teens. But parents and educators and counselors are reading both of these books because it really helps them help the people that they love. I tell my story, and when I was really in the throes of anxiety and it was so, so bad, I I was in restaurants. I couldn't even go to restaurants. I had to leave and I wouldn't go most of the time because my anxiety came really bad in the evening. But I was looking around and I was like, how could people like be here? Aren't they afraid of dying? Like, I aren't they afraid of dying? And I realized, yeah, if they thought about it, they're just not thinking about it. And I was just thinking about it all the time. It's all I thought about, right? It was so consuming. And other people, they would, if they thought about it, or it was imminent or something like that, they would be in panic too. That's what our bodies do. But I was thinking about it all the time. There's this one saying, and I'm not going to get it because I don't know, and I don't know who said it, but it was like, this is the meaning of it anyway. I don't know what the saying is, but if you have anxiety, like you die again and again and again and again and again, right? And if you're not afraid, you only die once. I was like, that sounds a lot better than what I'm doing. And so I aimed to get there and I figured it out. And then for the last couple decades, I've been helping all of my clients and all of my viewers and my listeners to get rid of their anxiety because anxiety is not a life sentence. You do not have to stay there. You can get rid of it as long as you understand it. And I know I'm not going too much into the biology here. So if you want to look up some of my other videos, I will put the cards up in the corner. You could see some titles to my other videos and I'll attach the ones on the biology to this video for you. So one of the other worst things about anxiety, last one, and then I'll tell you a couple little tips, some of my favorite tips, but I think you're getting some tips here and you will from those other biology videos as well. Okay. So it makes you think that you're losing your mind. This is so often a question. It's like that people give me. It's like they feel like they're going off some insanity cliff and they're so afraid. They're holding on so tight to whatever, uh, understanding the chaos or solving those unsolvable problems. They're just holding on to that because they feel like if I don't go there, I'm going to fall off this insanity cliff and never be myself again. That's what anxiety feels like. Feels like you're going to fall off that insanity cliff. You're just going to lose your mind. You're going to be insane. And that is a very scary idea. So, of course, it bothers you and it's going to perpetuate the anxiety. Nobody loses their mind from a panic attack. Even if someone has so much anxiety that they feel a little bit like disorganized or lose their concentration, that comes back when adrenaline is so high. And sometimes for some people this happens. I've seen it very, 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 very rarely. Is they get a little bit confused short term if they're in a really stressful situation and their anxiety is really high. And then I've seen them recover and get back to normal. But even during that time, they're rational, they can understand, they know what's going on, they could function. People function. They could function. You could function. So you're not going to lose your mind. You might a little bit be like, wait, is that real? Am I doing this okay? There's like a lot of self doubt, like so much self doubt is preoccupying, but you're still there, right? You're not losing yourself at all. That's what I mean. I don't mean to scare anybody with that idea. It's so rare and they're still there. Like if I'm talking to the person, they're still rational and they can still understand what's going on and are functioning. Like could drive themselves to my office. So it's not something that you have to worry about. All right. So what you want to do to get better is we want to take the mystery out. So definitely learn the biology of anxiety from my other videos. Definitely really understand what's going on so that you could do these two things to feel better. One is not be bothered, not be bothered. You have to somehow, at least if you fake it to your make it, be like, okay, there's the anxiety. I knew you'd come back. I could feel you. Yeah, there you are. I can feel you under my skin. All right. I understand. I'm hungry. It's hot. I almost got hit by a car. I'm totally fine. Thank you so much. Amygdala. If I needed you, that would be great, but I don't need you right now. Like, have a seat. I'm busy. That number one is not be bothered. If you can do that, if you could practice that, it gets better and better and better. It gets easier and easier and easier. But if you demystify anxiety and understand anxiety, that gets really easy to do to not be bothered by it. Next, you want to take your mind off it. It wants to consume you. It wants to take all of your attention. It wants you to focus, focus, focus on the anxiety. And we need you to engage your brain in something else. It's hard to get something out. You need to replace it with something. You need to switch your attention onto something really engaging, really interesting. So have some projects going, have some fictional books going, especially if you're in a really huge state of anxiety. Like sometimes you have an episode where anxiety's like takes up a lot of the day. In that kind of episode, if you're having an anxiety episode like that, they do not last. But the quickest way to get out of there is to get some really engaging projects going on. What happens when people are in those episodes, they pull back from life. They take off work, they stop doing stuff, they stop going out, they stop going to social things because they're like, I got to figure out my anxiety, and they stay home. All of their attention is going to the anxiety. That just makes it worse. Just makes it worse. You want to engage in something. And when somebody's in a really big state and their mind's hooked and they just are having trouble getting out of it, I'm like, 4 projects. I want you to do 2 things at once. Listen to a book, clean out a closet at the same time. A really engaging fictional story. Get out of your mind, get into somebody else's story, clean your closet out. And we don't want to do that. We don't have the attention span to do that. We don't care. The anxiety takes our full priority. And so you just have to try with little stuff to engage your mind. So you might have to start getting into a book. Sometimes books take a little bit to get into. So it's really hard if you have anxiety. So take a walk while you're starting the book. Take a walk with somebody or something. Take a walk and talk to somebody. Be doing something really easy. Clean out one drawer instead of a whole closet. Maybe it's just one drawer. Um, Clean off the counters. Something little that you could do while you're starting the book just to get yourself engaged in something else. And then it starts to get easier and easier and easier. The less time you're giving anxiety, the more time you're there building confidence back up. You're back to yourself again. You feel like yourself again. And that confidence is going to help you engage in other things and more things and concentrate again. And the anxiety is going to go down. So, that's what I want you to do. So, the worst thing about anxiety is taking all of your attention and it's keeping you from doing things that you want to do in your life. So, I have a lot for you. I have my books you could get. I also have an online anxiety program. It's called Anxiety Free Me. I'm going to link to that also up there so you could get that if you want to. But I'm here for you. I also have my Accelerate group. I meet every other Tuesday. I have a little bit of space in that group for the next couple people that want to sign up. And I would love to assist you and being that person that you want to be and being open and free and happy and joyful. But you could also come on my show for live coaching or work with me privately. That is also an option. I would love to help. Come on over to my website, jodiamon.com or jodiamon.com/live if you want to sign up for updates about the show and get the topic ahead of time, or if you want to sign up to be coached live. I am live every Monday at 8 p.m. on YouTube. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, you could come on YouTube and watch me live and participate in the show. I would love to have you. All right. So I will see you next week. Sorry, I'm trying to do my outro here. All right, everyone. I will see you next week.